Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be doing a full review of the MiG-29, a currently Tier 8 11.7 BR jet fighter that sits in the Russian air tech tree. In this video, I'll be going over everything that you need to know about the Fulcrum, including its stats, how it plays, its strengths and weaknesses. I'll give some scores in several key areas, and then I'll give my final recommendation on if I feel that this plane is worth grinding for or not. As always, please consider subscribing as it helps my channel tremendously, and even more so if you like this type of content. But either way, let's get into it. Now, as always, I'll place its stats here on the side of the screen. Important stats to note are its incredibly high climb rate, excellent turn time, and high top speed. Now for how the MiG-29 plays. Well, it's almost kind of like if the F-14 became optimized for close range combat with the ability to throw longer range missiles out as well. Essentially, the MiG-29 is extremely fast, maneuvers very well, and has good missiles which, as of the writing of this video, are R-60Ms. As a side note, I fully suspect that the R-73 will be released for the MiG-29, and as such, I will factor that into my review for whenever those eventually come out. With that said, it also has access to R-27R and T missiles, which are very good mid-range missiles with decent tracking and good maneuverability. Because of all these traits, the MiG-29 is arguably more versatile in air combat than your average F-16A, as it has mid-range missiles that are superior to the AIM-7Ms, of which aren't even on every single F-16A variant. Regardless, back to the MiG-29. I would recommend flying low and coming around the battlefield from the side, as it will help to guard against inevitable barrages of F-14 flung missiles, and will allow you time to pick your targets. Personally, I just go in with a full load of close range missiles, which at this point are R-60Ms and will likely eventually be R-73s, rather than take along R-27s as well. This is not to say that R-27s are bad, because they are not, but it's just a personal preference of mine. Aside from this, the energy retention and ability to build energy via its afterburners is immense with the MiG-29, and you can easily engage in turning fights with essentially every plane currently in War Thunder, and have a higher amount of energy once you come out of the turn, allowing you to get into position for a gun or missile kill. In all, the MiG-29 is the quintessential dogfighter for the ability to deliver spicy hot missiles at a range as well, if you so choose. Now for close air support, the MiG-29 is a bit more basic. Thankfully, it has ballistic computers for both bombs and rockets, but it has a very limited payload, with ground strike ordnance being limited to only 4 of its 7 total pylons. Further, bombs max out in size at 500 kilograms, and the best rockets that you can carry are the S-24B, of which you can only carry 4. No smart or guided ordnance are currently available on the MiG-29. With this said, due to its speed and combined with its cannon, the MiG-29 can still pose a serious threat to ground forces. Fulcrum pilots simply need to get a little closer to the battlefield than other, more advanced close air support platforms might have to do. Even still, when done delivering death from above, the MiG-29 can still be quite effective as an air cover fighter, and as such can be effective though not incredible as a multi-role, at least as of right now. Now with all that out of the way, let's get into its strengths and weaknesses, and first for its strengths. It has an excellent overall performance rating, including stratospheric rate of climb, top speed, and maneuverability. Second, it has access to the helmet-mounted display, which locks missiles based on where you look rather than where your plane is oriented. Third, it has access to IRST and a very powerful radar. For its fourth strength, it has R-27 missiles, of which are among the best mid-range missiles currently in War Thunder. Fifth, while not the best, the MiG-29 can carry up to 6 R-60M missiles, of which are all aspect and turn fairly hard, despite their fairly short range and subpar tracking versus flared enemies. Beyond this, the 30mm cannon is very powerful and is usable versus a variety of air and ground targets. For its seventh strength, the MiG-29 has 60 large caliber countermeasures, which are more effective than standard countermeasures. Beyond this, the MiG-29 has use of a drop tank, which negates a large portion of the fuel consumption issue with the MiG-29. The MiG-29 also has ballistic computers for both bombs and rockets. For its 10th strength, while it does not have them now, the MiG-29 will likely have access to R-73 missiles at some some point down the road, which will put this plane on the next level in terms of air combat effectiveness. And finally, the MiG-29 has excellent energy retention in turns and can return energy quite quickly due to its immensely powerful engines. Now for its weaknesses, it has incredibly high fuel consumption when using afterburners. Second, while certainly capable, the MiG-29 is limited to dumb bombs and unguided rockets when it comes to close air support. Additionally, it can only carry ground attack ordnance on again 4 of its 7 pylons. For its third weakness, the MiG-29 is fairly large, making it easier for both guns and missiles to hit. And finally, while the number of R-60Ms that you can carry makes up for it at least in part, R-60Ms are still easily led astray by flares, which is a problem at this BR, as most people have countermeasures and actively use them. Now with all that said, let's get into how I score the MiG-29. For dogfighting and air RB, I give it an 8.25 out of 10. The flight performance of the MiG-29, including its maneuverability, rate of climb, and top speed are all phenomenal, and at all altitudes. It can essentially outperform any plane in War Thunder outside of potentially the F-16 and maybe a few other planes insofar as a few circumstances and certain speeds are concerned. Regardless, the MiG-29 still has superior energy retention, which should be enough to outlast essentially any plane in a turning fight. Combined with this is the fact that the MiG-29 also has access to 6 R-60M all-aspect missiles. While these are not quite as effective at 11.7 BR as they are at lower BRs, as they get thrown off by flares quite easily, you can still easily down unsuspecting enemy planes that are close by. If you want longer range, you can also use the R-27R and R-27T missiles, of which have ranges upwards of 50 kilometers, though of course you should use them a bit closer than that. Combine all this with a competent 30mm cannon to ice the cake, and the MiG-29 is an excellent fighter. Ultimately, if and once it receives the R-73 missiles, this will easily jump to a 9.0 or even a 9.25 in the dogfighting/air RB category. But even still, the MiG-29 is still only rivaled by the F-16A and is more versatile in longer range combat as well. Now for close air support, I give the MiG-29 a 5.75 out of 10. The Fulcrum benefits from a number of things that assist it in close air support, such as a ballistics computer, high speed, and a multi-purpose 30mm cannon. Aside from these things, however, it is lacking pretty severely, as it can only carry up to 4 S-24B rockets, up to 6 500kg bombs via custom loadouts, 8 250kg bombs, 16 100kg bombs, or even up to 80 S-8KO rockets. Unfortunately, when fully loaded with 6 500kg bombs, you can't even carry any missiles on the wingtips, at least not currently, due to it exceeding the maximum weight available for this vehicle. As such, it is limited in its close air support role fairly substantially, at least when compared to American multi-role aircraft. Still, it can deliver a decent amount of ordnance quickly and accurately, even though it does not carry any smart or guided weapons. In all, it is effective, though planes like the Su-22 are, for the most part, better as a close air support plane compared to the MiG-29, and should remain your go-to in this role. If nothing else, the MiG-29 can still perform excellent air cover, shooting down enemy planes and helicopters with ease. As a final note for close air support, it is easy to go beyond Mach 1 with ordnance, which is actually going to be too fast to drop bombs and fire rockets with this plane. Now overall, I give this a 7.75 out of 10. This is one of the most capable dogfighters in War Thunder, only surpassed by the F-16A as of the writing of this review. And even then, should the MiG-29 receive its R-73 missiles, the MiG-29 will likely be better, at least as a dogfighter. Ultimately, while it is somewhere around average for close air support, the MiG-29 is excellent versus other aircraft, and that is where it should be played, in air battles. I had a tremendous amount of fun playing this vehicle for my review, and will continue to play it thereafter and have a great time. So, should you grind for this vehicle? If you couldn't tell, yes, you should. It isn't as good, at least for the moment, as the F-16A in a dogfighting role, and especially in close air support, but it is still extremely capable and even more versatile in air battles, and it has several extremely good mid-range missiles to choose from. Further, once the R-73s come to town, this plane will likely surpass the A variant of the Fighting Falcon in air battles. Heck, you could even make the argument that the F-16 and the MiG-29 are equal, but in different ways, if that makes any sense. They are very, very close, and even though of course the AIM-9Ls are better than the R-60Ms, the planes themselves are extremely close in terms of how capable they are. Regardless, the MiG-29 is a great plane that can do pretty much everything that you want, and can also be a workhorse of a top-tier plane. I thoroughly enjoy this plane and feel that in in large part it was worth the hype. Now that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this video. Please, of course, if you don't mind, consider liking this video, commenting again, and also, if you like this sort of content, subscribing to my channel. Either way though, thanks so much again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.